He can make you crazy. He will actually suck your brains out.
Attention, attention. This is a special mental health alert. Please, all you deplorables, do not re-elect Donald Trump as president, or you will drive New York Times columnist Thomas Friedman crazy! Yeah. Now, Thomas Friedman suffers from extreme Trump Derangement Syndrome. And yet, he is much more rational than his fellow liberal TDS sufferers. And I'll tell you why. Because he is rational enough to see that the Democrat position on the border, specifically on the border walls, is absolutely suicidal. It's going to lead them to disaster in 2020, among other reasons, but especially this. So, what happened is he recently wrote a column, a New York Times column, proposing that we go ahead and fund border walls. Now, of course, he's just pretending that he wants to fund, create border walls. He doesn't really mean it, but as long as the Democrats act like they're for border security, that hopefully is enough to get them through the election and maybe beat Trump. Don't think so, but that's what he's hoping. Because, you know, he knows his mental health is at stake if Trump is reelected. So let's take a look first at Thomas Friedman discussing that border wall that he proposed, or that pretends to support, with the big-time Jeopardy winner and CNN host Wolf Blitzer. Let's take a look at that interview.
You've written a very powerful article. I recommend our viewers go to the New York Times and read it. Among other things, you write this line, quote, "The whole day left me more certain than ever that we have a real immigration crisis and that the solution is a high wall with a big gate, but a smart gate." So you're talking about a wall. You want a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, a high wall with what you call a smart gate.
A big gate, a smart gate, and a compassionate gate, I said. Wolf, I'm as radically pro-immigration as they come. But it's pretty clear to me that unless we can assure a significant number of Americans that we can control our border, we're never going to have the proper immigration flow I think we need, we desire, and that we have actually a moral responsibility, given our history as a nation of immigrants and a refuge for people fleeing persecution. I think the only way is a compromise on this. The tragedy, and that's why my column was said Trump is wasting this crisis. A crisis is a terrible thing to waste. We have a president who actually, when you think about it, Wolf, he has the chops with his base. If he were to sit down, call Nancy Pelosi up, say, we're going up to Camp David, you bring your immigration team, I'll bring mine, I'll leave Stephen Miller at home, and we will actually sort out a compromise here, because Democrats were ready to fund more border security. But at the same time, we're going to create a legal pathway for people here. We're going to limit the number of ICE arrests. And we're going to have a rational inflow of people, of the kind of people that are both high energy, high IQ, that can actually drive our country forward. We need a compromise.
Compromise? Compromise? Tom, are you not aware of the meeting between Trump and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer at the White House a few months ago? There was no compromise on their part. They were firm that there was not going to be a single dollar going towards the border wall. And they were gloating about it afterwards. It's like, oh, we couldn't give them a win. It feels so good. It feels so good we couldn't give them a win. And at the time, they were poo-pooing the whole idea that there was a border crisis. And by the way, your own mainstream media, including the New York Times especially, they were all mocking the idea that there was some sort of border crisis. They were calling it a complete fantasy. Well, months later, You don't hear that so much from the media or at all, that there's no border crisis. Of course there's a border crisis, you idiots. And what the solution is, or at least one of the big solutions, is a big border wall, as Thomas Friedman now desperately is proposing. Of course, he's conveniently forgetting that it was Chuck and Nancy that shot it down to begin with. So that whole thing about compromise, ridiculous. They had their chance and they blew it. And guess what? Because it is a national security issue, he was able to get funding from the Defense Department. So guess what, Democrats? You get no credit for that wall that's going up right now. Now, the thing is Thomas Friedman, he knows what's coming down the pike. And can you imagine what Friedman must be thinking when he sees idiots, absolute idiot candidates like Beto O'Rourke, not only not supporting funding for the border wall, but he actually proposed that we take down all the barriers, including fences and walls, just knock them down, open borders. Yeah, that's really going to go over well in 2020. Thanks a lot, Beto. So anyway, I think we could look forward to Tom Friedman being strapped down to a gurney right after the 2020 election. But you know what? I'm sort of a humanitarian. I'm just, to the mental health workers out there, when you strap Tom Friedman down to his gurney from extreme Trump Derangement Syndrome in November 2020, please, I'm urging you, use a clean, sanitary leather strap to stick into his mouth to keep him from biting his tongue off. Don't use one that you already used on another liberal TDS sufferer that was strapped down to a gurney. We want to keep him healthy, at least physically. Mentally, he'll be completely gone. So, one last word from Tom Friedman, and then we're going to go. See you later.
He can make you crazy. He will actually suck your brains out.